Mrs. Stiefel, when we left off, the SS officer was waiting for the next column to arrive, and he was going to give you back to the next column.
Yes, he did. He handed us over, because there was another woman with me. He handed us over to the leader of the next column and said, I found these two Jewish women running around in the field, and I assumed that they ran away from one of the previous columns that passed by. And during all that time, I knew that this moment was the moment of my life, because they were going to shoot me. And as always, and as for many people during those years and during those times, all sorts of things came into your head which you don't know how they came, why they came, and how you did it. And I approached the man, the officer, the SS officer, and I said to him, and I know that today when I tell it, my voice is quivering, but when I spoke to him, it was not. This is what I still don't understand. I said to him, Herr Sturmbannführer, whatever his grade was, may I make a statement? And he said, sure, go ahead. So I said, what happened to us was that there was an attack, a low-flying attack on the column. Everybody ran. We were all dispersed. We ran into the woods. And by the time the attack was over, we couldn't find our column anymore. I knew this was something not very intelligent, but possible. And I felt that the way I said it, and the forcefulness, the lack of fear that I tried to show, not that I didn't have it, but I tried to show, knowing the German mentality a little bit, and speaking the fluent English, German, I said, what can happen? And it took maybe 2 seconds, but it seemed an eternity. And he said to us, oh, you go at the end of that column where the gypsies are walking, and follow the gypsy column. Today, when I think back, it was the most improbable moment, and that showed me how dispirited and how tired they were already. They didn't care about anything anymore. But there were many, many cases which didn't go that way. Many, many people who got killed still on those marches. Many people. Once more, we were lucky. So we went with that column once more, started to walk, and the next day we really felt that we couldn't walk anymore. We were absolutely done with. And there was a young German soldier, he was not an officer, who was walking next to us. And I said to him, knowing that they were not interested anymore, I said, I can't walk anymore, I'm going to stay right here. He said, you want to stay here? You stay here, but you know what's going to happen to you? I said, yes. You want to stay? You stay. And we did. We simply sat down in another ditch and let the columns go by. And we started to walk afterwards on our own, and we came across some German woman and we addressed her. She was carrying 2 suitcases, so she was already running from somewhere. So we offered her, in our best German, to carry her suitcases. Imagine, here we were, with no food at all. Oh, she was delighted. Yes, she would like some help. Where are you going? Who are you? And that is how our new identity was born. So we told her that we were both from Hamburg, which was true, that we had worked all over the country in the munitions factories, that we were bombed out, we had no more papers, and that 3 days ago on the attack on Leipzig, we were bombed out, we had nothing. Oh, that's terrible, you poor girls, and so forth and so on. And we asked her, do you know someone where we could work? Yeah, we know somebody, and to make a long story short, I ended up with a German farmer who was interested in somebody to help with his children. And he asked me what I was doing before and what I knew and what I was studying and all that. And I said, I know English. Oh, he said, can you teach my children? I said, sure. So I worked for this man. I never taught the children English, by the way. I worked for this man doing all the hard work like a maid for maybe a week. Always conscious of leaving my sleeves down, because to him I was a poor German girl who was bombed out. Until one day, it was a beautiful spring day, I was carrying water from the pump, and without knowing it, instinctively I must have pushed my sleeves up. And that same evening, the wife of that farmer came to my room and said, you have to leave this place by tomorrow morning. I said, what happened? You go and see the mayor of the town. We will send you there. You have to appear in front of the mayor. I went to the farmer himself. I said, what happened? He said, you will find out. I went, and already my friend had been called from the other farmer where she was working, and they told us that the child, one of the children, had seen my number and had reported us to the father, and the father reported us to the mayor. So, of course, here comes the question, the mayor. How, I know what this means, this number. That means that you were in some camps. How is it possible that a German girl lands in a German concentration camp? So I said to him, well, it's very simple. When I was working in a factory, I had an affair with a French worker. And as you know, as a German woman, I could not do that. That was against the law. He accepted that explanation because that was obvious to him. And he said, that is terrible for a German girl to do that. And that's how I ended up. I said to him, and that's how I ended up in the camps. And he said, well, there is a big camp in the city of Meissen. And I will send you there. You will walk there. And we knew already we weren't going to walk there. And something again in my head said, I need some document. I need something. And I said to him, Herr Bürgermeister, Mr. Mayor, I will go there, as you say. I will not embarrass you. I will go there. But I need a paper from you. I have to show a paper with my name, with your name, and that you order me there. What I wanted was a piece of paper with the swastika on it, an official paper. And he gave me a paper simply with my name on it, with his name on it, and it simply said something like, supposed to go to Meissen, or something in that vein. And so we left. In the next town, we stopped. We went to the city hall, presented that piece of paper, and asked for some food stamps. Nobody blinked. They gave us food stamps. And then the man said, where are you girls staying? Where are you going? We said, well, we don't know, we don't have anywhere to stay, and so forth and so on. Well, you can't go so far because the Russians are coming already. I said, where are the Russians? He said, well, I don't know exactly, but they're somewhere along the Elbe, which was correct. So he put us up in a school where there were hundreds and hundreds of refugees, German refugees, already fleeing from the Russians. So we mixed in with this German refugee group, and we spent there 2 or 3 days, and by the time, and then it was April the 30th, and one evening somebody came into that school, people were asleep on mattresses or whatever they could find, and announced, he said, I have an announcement to make, the Führer is dead. Well, we too had to hold ourselves back not to start screaming. You know, we were Germans, and there was a big rumbling in the hall, and now and then you would hear somebody say, well, it was about time. Others say, started to cry. I mean, there was all sorts of reaction to this. Well, we kept quiet till the next morning, and the next morning we went into a cafe where there were a lot of French prisoners of war, mostly officers. And they already had the news, and we discussed things with them, and we said, well, we want to see, where are the Americans, we asked them, and they said, are not sure, but they are certainly not far from here. Let's start walking together. So we decided we were going to mix in with the German population that was streaming along the highways, which we did. And then, of course, we heard, I don't know through whom or what, that Berlin had fallen. And we started to walk once more, but this time with the French prisoners of war, who gave me finally some boots and some sweater and things like that. And we walked and walked, and I think it was one night we stayed in a German house, in a barn. And the Germans, of course, were up in arms because there were all these refugees and everybody was asking them for food, and they had nothing themselves. And we knew that they had a lot because I knew this from the farmer I worked for. And then we finally came to a town which was called Auschwitz. And we started, and we saw 2 American tanks.